The camera pans slowly over the gray stone steps of the courthouse, glistening under the morning sun. Outside, reporters swarm, microphones raised, cameras flashing. The sign above the doors reads, Clark County Family Court. Inside, Kody Brown sits quietly in the waiting area, her hands folded tightly in her lap. She's wearing a modest navy dress, her blonde hair pinned back, her eyes fixed on the floor. You can tell she hasn't slept. Every breath seems heavy, as if years of silence and compromise are pressing on her chest. The sound of the courtroom doors opening echoes through like a gunshot. Kody Brown walks in, confident, almost defiant. He's in a black suit, his trademark curls pulled back. Robyn trails behind him, whispering something under her breath. Janelle and Mary are nowhere to be seen. It's as if the family has fractured completely, and today, the pieces are finally being counted. Then the voice of the narrator cuts in, calm but full of gravity. They were once America's most talked about plural family, a symbol of unity, love, and faith. But behind those smiles, something darker was brewing. And by the time the camera stopped rolling, it was already too late. Kody looks up, her eyes locking briefly on Kody's. It is not a look between two people who loved each other once. It is a look between two people who know too much. The bailiff calls out, Case 2215B, Brown versus Brown. Custody hearing. A ripple of whispers passes through the courtroom. Kody lets out a shaky breath. Her lawyer leans in, whispering, Just breathe. You're telling your truth today. Kody, on the other hand, looks like he's performing for an audience that only he can see. Every expression, every sigh, feels calculated. Ladies and gentlemen, the judge begins. We're here today to determine the custody and parental rights concerning the Brown children. Kody's lips quiver as she looks down at a small photo in her hand. Her kids, smiling, years ago. The first few minutes of the proceeding are formal. Lawyers present opening statements, the sound of papers flipping, pens clicking. But beneath that rhythm is a low, burning tension. First up is Kody's attorney, a sharp-suited man with a slick voice. Your Honor, my client, Mr. Brown, is a devoted father, a man who has given everything to his children and to this family. What we have here is not neglect or wrongdoing, but resentment, fueled by television fame and emotional manipulation. Kody's jaw clenches. She stares right ahead, her eyes welling up. Her attorney rises next. Your Honor, what we have here is a pattern of control, emotional, financial, and spiritual. Mrs. Brown isn't here to destroy anyone's reputation. She's here to protect her children from a man who no longer sees them as family, but as leverage. Murmurings in the courtroom. The judge raises a hand for silence. Kody's voice takes over, soft, almost trembling. It started small, a missed birthday, a forgotten promise. Then it became everything. The distance, the silence, the way he'd look through me as if I didn't exist. I thought if I just loved harder, he'd come back, but he never did. The camera then cuts to flashbacks. Warm-toned family dinners, laughter around the table. The Sister Wives filming crew capturing moments that now feel haunting. When the cameras stopped, so did the pretending, Kody says in voiceover. Kody chose Robyn. Maybe he didn't say it out loud, but every day he showed it. Back in the courtroom, Kody's fists clench and his jaw twitches. His attorney slides him a note. He doesn't read it. His eyes are locked on Kody, angry, wounded, defensive. Kody's lawyer presents photographs. Images of Kody with Robyn's children at school events, birthdays, holidays. while Christine's children were left waiting for calls that never came. "Your Honor," she says, "this isn't about who's more loved. It's about who's more present." The judge nods slowly, writing notes. Then, the moment of truth everyone has been waiting for. Christine takes the stand. She walks up to the witness stand, her heels softly clicking on the floor. Her hands shake as she raises them to swear the oath. "You do solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I do." The courtroom is silent again. Even the reporters have stopped typing. Mrs. Brown, her attorney, starts gently. "When did you first realize your marriage was over?" Christine stops. Her eyes shine. "The day I realized I was raising our children alone, while their father was down the street raising someone else's." The courtroom is filled with gasps. Kody's face hardens, his lips pressed into a thin line. "That's not true," he mutters under his breath. The judge glares. "Mr. Brown, you'll have your turn." Christine's voice shakes as she goes on. "I tried to make it work, Your Honor. I tried for years. But love shouldn't feel like punishment." The judge listens, expression unreadable. Every eye in the room is locked on Christine, her vulnerability, her strength, her quiet determination. Cut to Kody's internal narration, low, bitter, defensive. She portrays herself as the victim, but she was never easy. She challenged everything: my faith, my authority, my family structure. She wanted her own way, and when she didn't get it, she turned on me. The narrator cuts back in. What started as a marriage built upon faith had now become a battlefield of pride, power, and pain. The scene slows, close-ups of both faces. Christine, tearful but resolute. Kody, furious but wounded. The gavel on the judge's desk gleams under the fluorescent lights, ready to decide so much more than custody. The judge leans forward. "We'll have a short recess before we continue." Christine steps down, her lawyer guiding her back to the table. She exhales, her whole body shaking. Her eyes dart briefly toward Kody, but this time she doesn't look away. "You think you can just rewrite history?" Kody whispers as she passes. "No," she says quietly, "just the truth." The narrator concludes the session in a slow and reflective tone. In that moment, two lives that once intertwined under love and faith were now divided by law and pain. But this was just the beginning. Because what Christine didn't know was that Kody had a secret of his own, one that could change everything. The courtroom opens again after recess. The low hum of whispered voices dies down as the judge takes her seat once more. Christine reaches for the glass of water and takes a sip. Her hand slightly shakes. She looks cooler, but her eyes speak volumes. They're red, tired, but aflame with something fierce, some resolve. Across from her, Kody whispers to his lawyer. He's fidgeting now. That smooth confidence from earlier is cracking. Whatever his secret is, it's clear he's afraid it might surface. The narrator's tone is deeper now, steady, immersive. Every courtroom has its two truths, the one they speak and the one they hide. For Kody Brown, truth was a shadow he'd been running from for years. Christine's attorney clears her throat. "Your Honor, we'd now like to call our next witness, Miss Janelle Brown." Gasps ripple through the gallery. Even Christine looks shocked. Janelle walks in, calm but distant, like someone who has finally chosen a side after years of silence. Kody's face drains of color as he utters something under his breath, darting between Janelle and Christine. Janelle takes the stand, being sworn in. Her voice is steady, but her hands twist in her lap. "Mrs. Brown," the attorney begins, "how long have you known the parties involved?" "Over 2 decades," Janelle says softly. I was Kody's second wife. A heavy silence. Everyone in the courtroom already knows this, but the way she says it, it feels like a confession. In your experience, the lawyer continues, was Kody an active father to all his children equally? Janelle hesitates. She looks over at Kody. He stares back, pleading silently. In the beginning, yes, she says finally. He tried, but over time, things changed. How did they change? He started spending more time with Robyn and her kids. The rest of us, we were told to be patient, to understand. But it stopped feeling like a family. It started feeling like favoritism. The lawyer nods, pacing slowly. Did Christine ever express concerns about that? Many times, Janelle says. She was heartbroken. She felt invisible. Kody's lawyer jumps up. Objection. Speculation. Overruled, the judge says. The witness may continue. Janelle swallows hard. Christine wasn't angry. She was lost. I watched her try to hold that family together while Kody drifted further away. And finally, when she left, it wasn't out of spite. It was out of survival. Kody slams his hand on the table, unable to hold back. You think you know everything, Janelle. You weren't there every night. You didn't see what she said behind my back. The gavel of the judge comes down. Mr. Brown, control yourself. The tension is electric. Cameras flash from the gallery. Reporters scribble furiously. Christine's eyes widen in disgust as she stares into Kody's face. This is not her husband, but a stranger who has taken over his body, consumed by pride and bitterness. The narrator's voice lowers again. But that day, the courtroom wasn't just a place for justice. It was a mirror, reflecting everything they'd hidden from the world and from each other. Christine's attorney approaches the bench. Your Honor, we have new evidence to submit. The courtroom stiffens. Kody's lawyer hastily whispers, "What evidence?" The lawyer hands a sealed folder to the judge. Inside, a series of bank statements, messages, and a signed affidavit. These records, she says, show multiple undisclosed accounts under Mr. Brown's name, accounts used to fund properties registered under Miss Robyn Sullivan. The entire courtroom gasps. Robyn's hand flies to her mouth. Kody's face goes pale. That's not what it looks like, he says quickly. Then what is it, Mr. Brown? Asks the judge sternly. Those are family funds, investments. Investments that your other wives and children knew nothing about? Christine closes her eyes, tears forming. You were building a new life, she whispers. While we were fighting to keep the old one alive. Kody looks at her, voice cracking with anger. You left me. What was I supposed to do, Christine? Sit and wait while you turned my children against me. Her lawyer interrupts sharply. Your Honor, this is not about hurt feelings. It's about deception. The judge nods. Mr. Brown, unless you can explain these accounts, we will consider this as concealment of marital assets. Kody's attorney requests a brief recess. The judge grants it. As Kody storms off, cameras click once more. Christine remains seated, her eyes fixed on the table, mute but visibly trembling. Janelle leans over and touches her hand. You did the right thing, Janelle whispers. It's time everyone sees who he really is. Christine looks up. I don't want revenge, she says softly. I just want peace. Minutes later, the two lawyers return. Kody's lawyer's face is tight, nervous. He speaks quietly to the judge. Your Honor, my client wishes to make a statement off record. The judge frowns. Off record? Why? Because what he's about to say could affect not just this case, but others. The courtroom stirs again. Even the air is heavier. Christine's heart pounds. Kody stands slowly, turning to face the court. I didn't hide those accounts for myself, he says. I did it for protection. The judge raises an eyebrow. Protection from what, Mr. Brown? From them, he says, pointing toward Christine and Janelle. They were planning to leave long before this. They were setting me up, trying to paint me as a villain so they could walk away clean. I knew if I didn't prepare, I'd lose everything. My home, my faith, my family. The audience erupts in whispers. Christine shakes her head in disbelief. You think I wanted this? She mutters under her breath. You made this, Kody. You built this cage and called it family. Kody slams his hand down again. You don't get to rewrite our story. The gavel bangs hard. That's enough, both of you. The camera pans slowly across their faces. Pain, anger, exhaustion. Court will resume tomorrow at 10 a.m. The judge says. Until then, no contact between parties. Christine quietly gathers her things. Janelle helps her to her feet. Robyn remains frozen, eyes glassy, looking away from everyone. The narrator's voice returns low and forbidding. As the courtroom emptied, Kody's words hung in the air. Protection, he said. But from what? Or from who? The lights dim as Christine steps out into the cold afternoon. Reporters swarm her, shouting questions. She ignores them, staring into the distance, her eyes wet but steady. He thinks he's protecting himself, she says softly to the camera. But deep down, he knows what he's protecting are his lies. The narrator concludes the scene. What Christine didn't know was that by the next morning, the case would take a shocking turn. One that would change not only the verdict, but expose a betrayal deeper than anyone imagined. Period. A morning light creeps through the tall courthouse windows. It's a new day, but the energy inside feels thick, almost electric. The crowd has more than doubled. Word has spread. Cameras line the entrance, and inside the air smells faintly of coffee and nerves. Christine walks in slowly, her chin high, but her eyes wary. Janelle walks beside her. Neither of them speaks. It's as if they both know that something bigger than money or custody is about to surface. Across the aisle, Kody and Robyn sit close, whispering. Robyn's eyes are puffy. Her hand clutches tightly to Kody's arm. He leans in with a clench in his jaw and says something that sounds much more like a warning than comfort. The narrator begins, calm but charged. Every secret in a courtroom has a heartbeat, and the closer it comes to being revealed, the louder it gets. For the Browns, that heartbeat was about to explode. The bailiff calls the room to order. The judge takes her seat. Mr. Brown, she begins, you said yesterday that you acted out of protection. Today, we'll need you to explain what exactly that means. Kody stands. He's shaking slightly, but forcing himself to appear composed. Your Honor, I'd like to introduce an exhibit. Messages between Christine and Janelle. Christine's face turns pale. She whips her head towards Janelle. What is he talking about? She whispers. Kody's attorney holds up a printed stack of texts. These were recovered from a shared phone plan. The messages indicate Mrs. Brown and Ms. Janelle Brown were planning to withdraw joint family funds months before this case began. The courtroom gasps. Cameras click. Christine's lawyer leaps to his feet. Objection. No authentication. We will allow questioning, says the judge. Christine just stares at Janelle, her voice barely above a whisper. Tell me he's lying. Janelle's lips part, but no words come out. Her eyes drop to the table. The narrator's voice deepens. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come from across the aisle. It comes from the seat right beside you. Bold retention line. Trust breaks faster when it's built on silence. Christine's attorney rises, her tone firm. Miss Janelle Brown, before this suit was filed, did you and Mrs. Brown discuss any financial plans? Janelle hesitates, swallowing hard. We talked about setting aside savings, but it wasn't to hurt anyone. It was for our kids. We didn't know what Kody was doing with the money. We just wanted security. Christine looks heartbroken. You didn't tell me he had proof, she whispered. Kody's smile flickers, half triumph, half pain. I told you, he says softly across the aisle. You thought you were the only one who could keep secrets. The judge intervenes. Enough personal remarks. Continue. Christine suddenly stands, unable to hold it in. I didn't take anything from you, Kody. You took everything from us. Our time, our family, our peace. The judge raises her gavel, but her voice softens slightly. Mrs. Brown, please, you'll have your chance to respond. She sinks back into her seat as tears stream down her face. The camera zooms in close, the image of a woman who has carried too much for too long. The narrator softly cuts in. In a courtroom, tears can be weapons or confessions, and for Christine, they were both. The judge turns to Janelle once more. Ms. Brown, did you personally transfer any funds? No, Janelle says quickly. It was just talk. But Kody's attorney holds up a document. Then how do you explain this transfer? $35,000 to a private account 6 weeks before separation. Janelle freezes. The room is utterly quiet. Christine's jaw drops. Janelle? Christine whispers. I didn't think it mattered, Janelle stammers. We were all going to split, Christine. I thought. You thought what? Christine interrupts, her voice breaking. That it was okay to do exactly what we accused him of doing? The judge bangs his gavel. Order, order. The narrator's voice rises slightly urgent, cinematic. It wasn't supposed to go down like this. Christine had spent years fighting to prove she wasn't the villain. But now her own ally had drawn blood. Christine sits down, not saying a word, trembling. Her hands clench around the table as her knuckles whiten. Kody leans back and exhales slowly. For the first time in days, he looks calm. Victorious, even. Robyn says softly, You see? It is over. They just proved your point. But Kody doesn't smile. His face is hollow. There's no satisfaction in this victory, only exhaustion. I didn't want this, he mutters. I just wanted to be right. The narrator softens. Sometimes, justice doesn't heal. It just exposes every wound all at once. The judge clears her throat. With these new developments, we will have to study both sets of accounts. Meanwhile, let both parties not touch the jointly held assets. The lawyers nod. The courtroom starts to stir again. But Christine doesn't move. She stares at the floor, whispering something to herself. A prayer maybe, or a memory. Then, all quiet, almost quivering, she looks up and says, You think money is what this was about? You're wrong, Kody. It was never the money. It was that you stopped loving us the moment she walked in. Her voice cracks on she, and every eye turns to Robyn. Robyn's lip begins to tremble. In a whisper, she says, That's not fair, Christine. Christine looks directly at her now. Fair? You moved into my house and called it unity. You took my husband and called it love. You took my family and called it faith. The air goes dead silent. Even the judge doesn't interrupt. Kody looks at Robyn, panic flickering in his eyes. Don't say anything, he mutters. But Robyn stands up. No, Kody, she deserves to know. The room freezes. Christine stares at her, her eyes narrowing. Know what? Robyn lets out a shaky breath. Those accounts, the ones in my name. They weren't just for me. Then who? Christine demands. Robyn looks down, her voice dropping to a whisper. For Kody's new business, and for someone else's legal fees. The judge leans forward. Whose? Robyn hesitates. Tears well up. Mary's. The entire courtroom gasps. Christine stumbles backward slightly. "Mary?" she says, her voice trembling. "You mean she's been part of this too?" Robyn nods, now crying. "She didn't want you to know. She thought she could fix it before it came out." Kody closes his eyes, defeated. The narrator speaks in a whisper. And just like that, the final thread of loyalty snapped. Christine looks utterly shattered. Her entire support system gone in one testimony. The judge sighs deeply. "We'll adjourn until tomorrow. This court is in recess." The gavel slams down, like 1,000 thunders. Reporters rush out to broadcast the bombshell. Kody sits frozen. Robyn sobs quietly, and Christine just walks out. No tears, no words, only a heavy, final silence. The narrator concludes softly as the doors close behind her. The tension in this courtroom is alive. Cameras hum softly from the press section, capturing every twitch, every tear. It's the day everyone's been waiting for, the day Robyn Brown finally takes the stand. She walks in slowly, her expression unreadable, light of foot but heavy with what she is about to say. Christine's eyes are on her like a hawk, while Kody sits rigid, hands folded tightly on the table. Robyn takes a deep breath as she swears in, her voice trembling just enough to sound human. The judge nods. "You may proceed." Christine's attorney rises. "Mrs. Brown, you were once very close to my client, correct?" Robyn hesitates, her eyes flicking towards Kody for just a fraction of a second. "Yes, we were like sisters." The lawyer leans forward. "And yet, you played a role in the decision to transfer joint assets without Christine's knowledge. Is that correct?" Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Even Janelle looks shocked. Robyn's lips part. Her breathing quickens. I didn't mean to hurt anyone," she whispers. "Kody said it was for the good of the family. I trusted him." Christine's face contorts in anger and heartbreak, and she whispers, "You trusted him more than you trusted me." The lawyer pushes on. "Mrs. Brown, please answer directly. Did you knowingly help Mr. Brown hide funds?" Tears spill down Robyn's cheeks. "Yes," she chokes out. "I did, but I thought, thank you, no further questions." A silence ensues, one that could break bones. Robyn covers her face, sobbing softly, while Kody stares straight ahead, expression like stone. Christine's lawyer turns to the judge. "Your Honor, we now have proof that deceit was not an accident." It was a plan. Later that day, the court breaks briefly. Christine steps outside, her heart pounding in her ears. The desert sun hits her face, and she barely feels it. Robyn's confession replays on her mind, like a movie she has never wanted to watch. Janelle quietly joins her. "You okay?" Christine laughs shakily. "I don't even know what okay means anymore. I loved them all like family, Janelle, and now I'm fighting them like enemies." Janelle's eyes soften. Sometimes the people we love the most are the ones who hurt us deepest. Still, you haven't lost everything. You still have your truth. Christine wipes away a tear, her voice low. "I just hope the court sees it that way." Back inside, court resumes. The atmosphere is electric, charged with something dangerous. Kody's lawyer rises now, tall and confident. "Your Honor, my client has been portrayed as a manipulative man. But I will show that Mrs. Brown, Christine, had her own motives. She wanted out long before any money was moved." Christine looks up sharply. "That's a lie." Kody's attorney smirks. "We'll see." He then calls a surprise witness, Christine's daughter, Mykelti. The courtroom murmurs once more. Christine's heart almost stops. Mykelti walks to the stand, her eyes full of conflict as she looks to her mother and then to Kody, her father. His attorney begins delicately. "Mykelti, did your mother ever tell you she wanted to leave before these alleged transfers took place?" Mykelti hesitates, tears welling. "She said she was unhappy, that she couldn't do it anymore." "And did she ever mention wanting to take certain properties with her?" Christine shakes her head from the table, whispering, "No, no, I never said that." Mykelti's voice cracks. "She said she deserved a fresh start, that she'd earned it." Kody's attorney turns to the judge. "Your Honor, this shows clear intent. Brown wanted separation and control long before any alleged deception. This was emotional, not legal." The judge nods, scribbling notes. Christine's attorney looks stunned. As the court adjourns for the day, Christine barely moves. Her daughter's testimony has shaken her deeper than any lie from Kody. Outside, the media swarms, shouting questions. "Christine, do you feel betrayed by your own daughter?" "Kody, do you think Christine's playing the victim?" Security pushes them away, but the noise reverberates long afterward. Inside her car, Christine looks out the window and, speaking almost to herself, says, "Maybe I did deserve a fresh start, but not like this." Back home, Kody paces the room furiously. Robyn sits nearby, her eyes red from crying. "You told me to tell the truth," she says softly. "I didn't tell you to destroy us," Kody snaps. Now Christine's got the upper hand, and we're bleeding in front of everyone. Robyn looks at him, broken. "We were already bleeding, Kody. We just didn't want to look at the wound." The next morning, the courthouse feels colder. No one speaks much. Mykelti avoids Christine's eyes. Robyn doesn't meet anyone's. But beneath the surface, something new brews. The judge's order for the presentation of all bank statements and property titles in their entirety by tomorrow. No redactions, no missing pages. And Kody knows that means one thing. If the money trail tells the same story as Robyn's confession, he's done. As the judge bangs her gavel to close the session, she says calmly, "Tomorrow, we'll see where the truth leads." Christine looks up slowly, the whispered words barely audible. "Tomorrow, everything ends." Again, gasps reverberate. The camera turns to Christine's shocked face. The courtroom is stifling. The air is thick with anticipation, the quiet only broken by the soft shuffle of papers and the distant hum of the HVAC system. Every seat is full. Even the standing room areas are packed. Reporters line the perimeter, their cameras aimed like hawks, waiting for the final moments to unfold. Christine sits tall, pale but resolute, as the events of the last days weigh heavily on her. Robyn's confession, secret transfers, her daughter's reluctant testimony. Yet she's determined to see this through. Across the aisle, Kody sits rigid, his eyes darting, his jaw tight. Robyn's still wiping tears away, her hands clenched in her lap. The air is heavy. It feels as though everyone in the room can sense the verdict looming over them like a storm cloud. The judge clears her throat, bringing the room to silence. "We have heard testimony, reviewed evidence, and considered the motions and statements presented by both parties. I am prepared to announce my ruling regarding custody and the financial matters brought before this court." A soft murmur ripples throughout the courtroom. Christine's hand tightens on her attorney's as she braces herself. Kody's expression is unreadable, though the slight twitch of his eye reveals his anxiety. This case has been complex not only because of the legal intricacies, the judge begins, but also because of the human tales that have been intertwined within. Custody and trust are deeply personal matters. Family, even more so. The camera pans slowly across the gallery. Reporters, the parties, and spectators, all waiting for the next words like they were breaths being held. After considering the facts of this case, it is hereby ordered that primary custody of the children remain in Kody Brown. Visitation rights are hereby granted to Kody Brown in a structured and supervised visitation schedule in the best interest of the minors. A murmur ripples through the courtroom. Relief floods Christine's eyes, though it's tempered by exhaustion. She exhales slowly, letting herself feel the tiniest spark of hope. The judge leans forward. Regarding financial matters, it is clear that multiple accounts and assets were mishandled and concealed. Mr. Brown and Mrs. Robyn Brown are jointly responsible for restitution to Kody Brown and any impacted children to ensure fairness and accountability. Kody's jaw tightens. Robyn's head drops into her hands as the weight of the courtroom and the truth now bears down fully. Christine's voice shakes slightly, barely audible. Finally, the truth is recognized. Her attorney leans forward. This is what you fought for, Christine. Justice, not revenge. The judge waits for a moment to let it sink in before she says the final bombshell. Lastly, based on the testimony of Miss Robyn Brown and the evidence provided, I find that Mr. Brown knowingly misled and concealed assets, and this constitutes a breach of trust and fiduciary duty. These will be considered in further proceedings, which could go as far as additional restitution and sanctions. Again, the room is filled with gasps. Kody looks as if the entire floor beneath him has been pulled out. Robyn starts crying openly, leaning into him for support. But her tears carry more guilt and regret than anything resembling sorrow. The narrator speaks softly, deliberately, drawing every viewer in. It is one thing to lose custody, another to lose credibility, honor, and the carefully constructed image you have held for years. Kody Brown now faces the consequences, not just of law, but of a family exposed. Christine steps forward as the judge's gavel drops for the last time. Her face radiates, not in victory, but in clarity. She has survived the betrayal, the deception, and heartbreak. She's come out not unscathed, but unbroken. Janelle approaches her, whispering, "You did it. You held on." Smiling faintly, Christine says, "We all did, in our own way. Some of us just needed to see the truth to understand it." The courtroom empties slowly. Kody and Robyn say nothing as they exit. Christine stays seated a minute, looking over to see the quietly playing children in the gallery, knowing life will never be the same. Yet some part of it will finally feel right again. Outside the courthouse, reporters crowd Christine for statements. Cameras flash, questions fly. She turns, composed yet firm. This wasn't about revenge. This was about accountability, about my children knowing that the truth mattered more than loyalty to a lie. The narrator's voice breaks in, steady and deep. After months of deception, betrayal, and emotional warfare, the Browns have finally reached a turning point. But as with every family, the story doesn't end here. Healing begins where the courtroom stops. And sometimes that path is even harder than facing the judge. Back inside the courthouse, Kody sits silently, replaying every moment. Robyn sits beside him, head down, hands shaking. Their faces betray a combination of remorse and disbelief. "We can fix this," Robyn whispers. "No," Kody says softly. "We can't fix what's been exposed. We can only live with it now." The narrator's voice softens, drawing the audience into reflection. Some betrayals can never be undone. Some wounds never fully heal. And some truths, once revealed, change everything forever. The Browns are a family split by love, loyalty, and lies. But they are also a family bound by the reality of what is real, what is broken, and what must be faced. Christine steps outside again, inhaling a deep breath of the crisp desert air. She closes her eyes and feels the sun's warmth on her face. For the first time in years, she feels a glimmer of peace. "I don't know what the future holds," she whispers, "but I know I'll never hide from the truth again." Before the screen flicks to the final credits, the narrator addresses the audience directly, presenting a strong CTA. The Sister Wives courtroom drama shows us that even families bound by love can fracture under secrets. Which side do you think was right? Christine standing for her children and the truth, or Kody trying to protect what he thought was his? Comment below and share your thoughts, because every family story has another side you need to hear. The camera lingers on Christine's face, which is a picture of sorrow, strength, and resilience. Kody and Robyn are in the backdrop, their shadows long and unsure. The gavel has finally fallen, and the story of betrayal, loyalty, and survival reverberates far beyond the courthouse walls.